Yeah, welcome my dear parents to the channel Light for Youth Academy. Today I decided to create a book summary, which is my own book. The name of the title is The Path to Light, the 10 Transformational Principles for Success, Joy and Inner Peace. This is the book, that's how it looks. You can see my little smiley face, camera Kamona at the back. Yeah, so there's been a lot of people, asking about what the book is all about and so on. So I decided, let me just make a summary for people out there, so that at least, you've got all the information. Maybe sometimes it's good to have any information up front, and then at least you know if the book is for you or not. The title of the book, to start with, is The Path to Light. The path meaning the journey. We all have a journey that we travel, life it's like a journey, but in the journey there's a lot of other things that are happening, that includes the challenges that sometimes you might face, the good and the bad. There's always something good in your journey, and there's always meaning there's both negative and positive in everybody's life's journey. So in the journey, sometimes we face darkness, sometimes we face a lot of challenges. So each and every one of us have got a different journey. I always say to people, you must run your own marathon, especially when things are tough and then you have people complaining about so many things. I'm saying sometimes it's not your journey, rather focus on your journey, run your own marathon, because life is not a sprint, it's a marathon, Yeah, so sometimes you don't have a map, you don't know where you're supposed to go. We just know that we have to go somewhere. We are living. That means somehow there's a destination, and the destination that we sometimes think about is, that last day of our lives, where God says, "Baba, child, you must come back home now." Yeah. So from the title, The Path to Light, it's about journey, and the journey, we're hoping we take the journey towards something that is good, which is the light. Now, light has got the power to overcome darkness. So we have different types of darknesses. We have the darkness of lack, the darkness of not knowing, the darkness of bad relationship, the darkness of bad careers. Especially if you are a parent or you are an employee, you always have got a lot of challenges that we sometimes go through. So this one is basically the same thing, where we are all in a journey. We are traveling towards life. This is life. We are all traveling, but we don't know where we are going. So it's like we are traveling, but we've got no map. We've got these challenges, things that I call darkness. Darkness of not knowing, darkness of poverty, darkness of lack. Not having poverty. There's a lot that we go through. So the book basically is like the journey that I traveled, up to this point. But when I wrote the book, I was still working. So I'm sharing some of my experiences there, some of my, the knowledge that I got from as a parent and both as an employee, and then all other challenges that I went through. So like I was saying, light has got the power to sort of overcome any form of darkness. And again, we see light as a life-changing knowledge. So because if you've got some kind of a good information that can help other people, that means, sometimes we say people are smart. Hey, this guy is smart, he's so smart. It means he's got some light on other stuff that we don't have. So light also in a form of knowledge. Again, there's a difference between seeing and vision. Seeing is like looking through your eyes, but vision is a bit different, because vision is like seeing beyond your eyes. Sometimes as human beings, because we've got the power of imagination, we can imagine things that are not even there. So that means we've got an ability to see things that does not yet exist. We've got the ability to see with our eyes closed. So if I can close my eyes right now, I can still imagine certain things. I can still see them clearly, but seeing with your eyes is simply like looking. So light has got that power of seeing things that does not yet exist. This is the reason why we've got people who are very creative. The things that we have around us, somebody thought about those things and then they created them through their mind, through their imagination, and through their vision. Vision is something. But sometimes you can be able to open your eyes, but you still don't see. I'm sure somehow in your life you probably came across someone who was saying, yes, I see, Gabon. But when you look at them, you can really see, yes, they don't see anything, these guys, Yes. So the subtitle, of course, being 10 transformational principles for success, joy, and inner peace. So I'm going to try to break down the subtitle. 10 there simply mean 10 chapters. The book consists of 10 chapters. You can see it's a small book. It's a small book. You can finish this book in like 2 days if you are a fast reader. So trans, from the word transformation, trans simply means movement, moving from point A to B. So when you say transformation, this is just it's English. So form means moving from something to something else and then forming something else. Obviously, we are looking at something better. When you talk transformation, it simply means transforming your life maybe from something that you're not happy, something that you're not happy with, and then to something that you are happy with. So that means looking at the output, maybe the output being something good. That is what we mean by transformation. And then the principles are simply a rule that controls how things work and how things are supposed to work. So sometimes we try to break the principles, but the principles, you can never break a principle. You can only bend it somewhere, but somehow it will catch up with you. So there are a lot of other principles. I believe in the basic life principles. This is the reason why the subtitle of the book is 10 transformational principles for success, joy, and inner peace. And then success, most of people, we see success as having a lot of money, being wealthy, and so on. Yes, that is still success. My own definition of success is simply progressing towards a specific goal. Every time you take those small steps, those baby steps, getting to a certain point, that is to me that's success. Because you fail the moment you give up. But for as long as, because failing comes with a lot of learning. In my life, I failed several times. So many times I failed, but I kept on going. Even now, I'm still trying so many things. Sometimes they don't work, but you don't give up, because the moment you give up, that's when you fail. But you all go and try and see if you can get some lessons, because there's always great lessons from failing. It's simply meaning like you learn how not to do something. How not to do something. So joy is, I see it as something that is extremely high level of happiness, level of fulfillment where you feel fulfilled, And like Tony Robbins says, he says, I quote, he says, success without fulfillment is ultimate failure. So if you are successful but you are not fulfilled, that is being seen as failing. That is joy. And then inner peace. I like this one. Inner peace to me is like having control of your life. Having control, not being controlled by the environment, not being controlled by all the circumstances that are happening. You feel like you don't have the feeling of being overwhelmed. Like when it was no, you feel, got a clear mind, you are calm, and even when people are giving you a lot of issues, you simply smile, and then, you are in control. So I like that, inner peace. Having inner peace to me is far is far important than most of the things, But these are the things that are important to me. I mean, the path to light, moving somebody from the world of darkness to something brighter, something more important, something more wonderful, moving from average to extraordinary. To me, that is very important. Success to me is important, hence I dedicate my life, to finding information, because I always had this information, this question in the back of my mind: why do other people succeed while others are not? And the book is all about that, how do we find success, how do we find joy, how do we find inner peace? So that is the very first part. And then in summary, maybe I should just share a little bit about my story. And these stories, I share them, in the book. So you probably have to, get your copy of the book so that you can, read all the story. I'm just gonna summarize my story. Yes, I just like any other child, I went to school. Eventually, I found myself at tertiary Valtech, now known as VUT, Valley University of Technology. And then there was an incident that happened during my last year at at VUT. I worked for Telkom, for 20 years, so that's why Telkom is always in my mind. Even now, I haven't been working there for like 2 years now, but it's still in my mind. You can think about working for a company like Telkom for 20 years, but then coming back to the story, during the interview, I remember I was called because I actually got higher marks on one of the previous tests, examination, this semester test. So now I was called because of the performance. The marks were good. I think I got about 90% on one of the subject, electronic application. I still remember. So there were guys from Sasol company. Yeah, they came looking for students there, to sponsor them and so on. So I was called unprepared. I didn't know what to expect. The next thing, I found myself in an interview. There were 3, guys there, big guys, white guys from Sasol. I still remember they were wearing nicely, the suits, the ties. So they did not waste time. They started throwing questions, asking me, those basic questions like, tell us about yourself. Who are you? Why are you here? Why do you study? All the questions. But then that's where I realized that listening and speaking, those are the 2 things. Because I'm one of those guys during my days as a young man. I used to listen more than talking, especially English. So my English was not clean. But that's when I realized that I needed to improve my communication very well. And self-doubt, that's where self-doubt started, for me. Because I thought all along, I thought I was okay until I started having to express myself in that way. It was difficult. I realized I was actually mumbling some words in South Sudan because I was mumbling some words in South Sudan. I couldn't answer most of the questions. So eventually, they just let me go. And then I couldn't wait to get out of that room, honestly. Yeah. But then that actually resulted in a massive self-doubt, I started questioning myself so much because that was embarrassment to me as well. Because to say, what? I couldn't answer simple questions. They started asking me, even the questions about my family. But I don't know, maybe I was nervous, maybe. But to me, that was a very bad experience, yeah. So that was the first part. And then somehow, you find yourself having to choose a career. But most of us, we go to school, we have sort of something that we are trying to achieve. Maybe is to find a job. If you find a job, you're fine, But wait until you work for 20 years and somebody asks you the same question. Or maybe you are surrounded by other people who are also working and then realize that you actually, it's money, you're getting money, but you're not happy. I'm not sure if you ever felt that way. Because now it's debt, you've got a lot of debt. Like myself, somehow I've got a little family, got 4 daughters now. So I opened my eyes, the debts were far over my head, when you are praying, but it seems like your prayer does not go far beyond your head. So that was what was happening. Yeah. So yes, I started a little family, and then somehow my wife and I got a lot of challenges. Emotional challenges. It's marriage. It is called marriage. Sometimes things don't go as you expect. Sometimes, especially when the money goes down. So yeah. So financial incompetence was actually the main problem. Lack of knowledge on how to manage finances. Some of these things, sometimes I wish I had a mentor or a coach at a young age. This is the reason why I dedicate my life right now to coach these young ones, to show them certain things, especially life skills, financial skills, mindset, emotional intelligence, entrepreneurship is key. Technology is even worse now. Technology is big. There's actually a big gap for us to close in terms of teaching our children skills, technology. Some of these things I learned myself, because I didn't learn them from school, honestly. I'm someone who believes in something that I call personal development and self-education. But this is the reason why I create content. This is one of the reasons why I even wrote my book, The Path to Light. It was because of, I wanted to do a research. I wanted to know why other people are succeeding while others. So these answers, these are the things that I got from my own research. Knowledge, skills, not just knowledge, applied, life-changing knowledge. That's what we need. Yeah. So yeah, basically that's basically what happened. I just like any other parent, I went through a lot. I went through all the challenges. Somehow, I lost my father, and then losing my father also made an impact in my life. I've been lied to, and I'm sure if you are a parent and you somehow lost a parent or somehow lost a child, you probably understand the impact that happens, and especially if that thing happens when you are not, say, maybe financially well, that you can do certain things. Because we spend a lot when somebody dies, and even prior to that, to that, having to take your parent to hospitals, medical assistance is very, very expensive, If you want to take your parent to like Mediclinic, private hospitals, it's a lot of money. Just for them to for admission, we are talking probably anything between 10 and 20,000 or 30 or 50, I don't know, unless you've got a medical aid. So yeah, those are the things that actually sometimes you see your parent suffering because you are unable to provide medical assistance because of your finances. So these are the things that actually, when I think about them, I feel that maybe there's a lot that we should do as parents to teach our children, to give them support, to make sure that they become independent at an early age, because that is serious. Independency. Let them be independent, especially financially. They must be financially secure at an early age. The big problem is that some of us, we started with the things that we're not supposed to start with. So it's good that right now we can teach them that these are the things that you must first do before you commit yourself with debts, relationship, marriages, and so on, and things that, especially if you get into that when you are not well prepared, mentally, emotionally, financially. So those are the key things that we need to start discussing with our children. So in short, we need to sort of empower these young ones. We need to support them. We need to make sure that they get the right knowledge, not just education. According to Napoleon Hill, when he actually described education, education is not necessarily what I thought it was all the time, because all the time I thought it's going to school was education. Go to school, you get educated, and then you find a job. You get married, you live nicely. Yeah, and then you hope for the best until God says, time up, come back home. Yeah. So, but it's not all about that. So education, according to Napoleon Hill, the person who's educated is the person who knows how to solve problems, who knows how to get whatever they want without violating the rights of others. In other words, without hating other people. but they are able to get whatever they want. So without involving crime, fraud, and so on. So that's an educated person. But in my own understanding, education is simply a process of getting the qualification, and that qualification will give you the access to get to university. And once you've got it, we finish university, now at least you are ready to find at least a well-paying job, because you can still find a job with a matric, but usually it won't be a well-paying job. So yeah, these are the things that the reason why I also look at how I can help other people, with their career choice, because I went through the same route. I worked for Telkom South Africa for 20 years. At the same time, during that 20 years, I was probably fortunate that I got promoted 3 times. When I left Telkom, I was a manager, which I enjoyed. I enjoyed my 5 years as a manager there. And I think that was where the turning point was, because I learned so much there as a manager, because now the responsibility that I had, because I was leading about a team of 22 people, which was it was challenging at first, but eventually I enjoyed it. Yeah, so that taught me responsibility, that taught me to deal with people, managing people, managing finances. So hence I say sometimes we need to start first by the important things. So it's important to have a coach, it's important to have a mentor, somebody who will be able to direct you. So if you find somebody who already achieved what you are trying to achieve, that is the person that you want to follow. That is the person, because we live in a negative world. Yeah. So now coming back to the book, who's this book for, or who's supposed to read this book? From the research that I've done after, when I wrote the book, it was mainly about to inspire people. It was mainly about giving people something, about sharing my story, making sure that people, those the ones that are going through my pain, at least they understand that we all go through pain, we all go through challenges in life. Life is not like, it's not gonna be a flat road. You've got humps, you've got bridges, you've got, sometimes it's the storm, sometimes you're driving through the rain, sometimes you've got hijackers trying to hijack you. There's so many challenges that are there. Yeah. So I was actually, when I wrote the book, I was already a parent. I was also an employee. So my message there basically inspires a lot of parents. Even the feedback that I got up to this point, most parents are, they always come back to me to say, I wish I read your book while I was still young. I wish I read your book before all the things that are happening. But then I always say to them, it's never late. We can always change. Hence I talk about transformation. Transformation means moving from whatever bad phase that you're going through to a better phase. And then employees, of course. If you're an employee, the challenges that you are going through, believe me, most of them I went through, and I understand how frustrating it could be when you've got a boss that is not listening to you, or the boss that is just, giving you instructions without listening to your views, without listening to your concerns, without giving you the platform to also share your ideas. I know how frustrating it could be when you've got the colleagues that you're working with that are very negative. Sometimes you come to work and then you realize there are people already that you suspect they're probably talking about you, and maybe they are, they are bad mouthing you, or maybe they are gossiping about you. But these things are happening. They are there. But we have to find a way of dealing with those things. It's not something that we can just ignore. Hence, it's important that we learn emotional intelligence, how to get control over each and every emotion, because emotions are simply sending messages, but sometimes we misinterpret the messages because we are human beings. By default, we think negative because we are surrounded by negativity. So for me to try and find something good out of something bad, it's not easy, Yeah. And then how can this book help you? I'm just gonna mention some of the few things that meaning all the chapters here. I'm just gonna try and summarize some of the chapters here. Maybe I'm hoping that will give you at least an idea on how this book can help you. That's a big question. Firstly, the book was written. I wrote the book to provide inspiration. That's number one. Number two, to provide something that I call inner freedom. Number three, something that I call the success formula. Starting with the first one, inspiration. Inspiration comes from, knowing your superpower, knowing your gift, and giving it to the people. Having a purpose, having something to look forward to. The beauty of working from home. Sometimes in the middle of a video while you are working, then your daughter comes in and then it just interrupted the whole process. Yeah, so I was explaining how this book can help you as a parent or as an employee or anyone who actually who needs inspiration, who is seeking to try and move from whatever the situation that they've got currently to something better. People who need transformation, those ones who need something that I call inner freedom. Inner freedom, it's simply because as people we've got internal wars. All the time the mind is fighting the emotion, the mind is fighting the feeling, because you think, you feel. If you think negative, you feel negative. But if you think something positive, you feel positive. Inspiration comes from thinking, that self-motivation of saying, I'm gonna do this thing and I'm gonna do it well, and no matter who says what, I'm gonna do this thing. That attitude comes from the positive thinking, and then it makes you feel in that way. So the little things that affect us, the little things that we do, remember, they affect our future. If right now there's nothing you are doing in terms of maybe building your career, let's say you are not collecting information, you are not gathering, because the internet right now, the internet on its own is so powerful that it makes other people's life very easy, and some of other people not so easy, difficult, because it depends on how you use it. It depends on what information are you looking for on the internet. Yeah. So now, being grateful comes from inner freedom. Being happy for the little things. Appreciating the fact that you are breathing right now, the fact that you've got, sometimes we complain about so many things, but then we forget the things that we already have, and we are not appreciating those things. So that means you are not being grateful. And gratefulness has got the power to reset the negative emotion. If you feel bad, and then you start thinking about only 2-3 things that you are grateful about, sometimes that will give you sort of a wake-up call to say, you know what, I'm blessed. Maybe you're broke for a day, because remember, being broke is not permanent. It's just a state of, it's a financial state that can change at any time depending on what you do about it. Yeah. So, and then letting go of the things that actually affect us, the feelings that affect us. How do you let go and detach from the negativity that we live around? How do you, surrender to say, now this is not for me. I'm not focusing on this thing anymore. I'm gonna focus on what is more important. I'm gonna focus on my family. I'm gonna focus on my goals. I'm gonna focus on the things that you think are extremely important. Yeah. So, and the other thing is forgiveness. Now, remember, we are still under inner freedom. Making sure that you align the thinking and the feeling, get the balance. Yeah. I mean, it's always like that. But the moment you become aware of your thoughts, becoming aware of what you are thinking about, that has got the power to sort of get the balance. Because sometimes you get the news that you're not even expecting, but then you start feeling bad. Somehow you just lost control, because I come and then I tell you the bad news. Somebody died. That's painful. That instantly changes how you feel. And then even the body will respond the same way, because remember, you think, you feel, and then the body acts. So now, if again I tell you about something, you just won a lottery, you're an instant billionaire, that already give you a sort of an excitement. You become excited with, instantly, because that's how it is, but how do we get the balance? That is more important. So in this book I share all those talk about all those topics in more details. I'm just giving you the summary. And then forgiveness. You have to forgive yourself. You have to forgive the people that actually, because if you hold on to a pain, it hurts you more than if you let go. So forgiveness means, yes, you're not gonna forget, but you let go of the negative feeling that you find yourself, in, especially if it takes long. Sometimes somebody will hurt you, they enjoy themselves wherever they are, and you are sitting there miserable, but they're enjoying themselves, So let go, forgive yourself, forgive your ex, forgive your partner, forgive your parents. They've done their best, to, especially for youth. Forgive them because they did their best, to get you wherever you are right now. With the resources that they have. I always, because I used to blame my father sometimes to say, when other people were getting rich, where exactly was this man? Because now I'm struggling, I want him to buy something and he keeps on telling me that he doesn't have money. Guess what? It's happening to me most of the time. My little girls, my daughters will ask me for something and then I say, I don't have money, to cover these things. So that one of yours is not in the budget, and they don't understand that. But now I understand as a parent and as a child, two different things. But now at least now I know. So we need to teach them so that whenever they get to our level, whenever they become parents, they are aware and they know what to expect. And then because the book, it consists of 3 parts. The first part, as I spoke about it, that was to provide inspiration. The third part is mainly inner freedom. Now the third part is the success formula. The success formula is something that the principle that I believe in so much, that is learn, practice, and teach. There's another formula that I learned from the guy called Sean Anthony. He said success is equals to V times T times S. V simply means volume. Volume means the number of activities that you do, and then time, over a period of time. You can do a lot of things for 2 days. They are not going to help you to build a skill. You can do two actions, but if you do let's say 2 activities a day, but you do it for 5 years, that builds a skill. And that will lead you to success. So this thing, it works on each and every sector, whether finance, whether relationship, whether career. If you do something long enough and often, it actually builds a skill. Eventually builds an experience and then builds wisdom. So that is the principle that I believe in. And it comes from what is it that you are feeding your mind. If you feed your mind with good stuff, the ingredients that you put into your brain, the information that you get, whether through internet, whether you pick up a book, you read, whether the news that you listen to, the television programs, the movies. So there's so many things that, because remember, we are bombarded with information. So until you know what you want, until you know the things that are important to you, your values, you just find yourself getting all the unnecessary information. That is actually a big problem. So how do you filter that information? Start with knowing what you want. Start with setting your goals. Start with having an action plan to say, these are the only things that are important. These are the things that I basically teach my daughters to say, what do you want? Because it has been proven several times, most of the people, there is no why they do what they do, simply because of they don't know what they want. And it's not something that we pick up in a day. It takes long, I always say it has been proven on average, most people, they become successful after changing careers at least 3 times. Yeah, I'm one of those people. So, but at least I'm enjoying what I do now. I feel fulfilled right now. Yeah. So, and then the habits. Let's talk about the habits. The things that you do on a daily basis. Remember, all those little activities. If you do them often, repeatedly, over a period of time, they create some kind of habit. And the habit, it becomes, whatever you do it automatically. You don't even see that you are doing it. So yeah, that's a big problem. Another one is choices. The choices that you make. I remember when I was still a young man, I found myself surrounded with Majida, and the Majida somehow, they decided one time to do something there in Shelbyville to steal the tires at Miami Park, and then unfortunately it was dark, and then suddenly he had people, the guys were just decided to run quickly, and I was not even aware what was happening, and then I got caught. Yeah, so that was a lesson for me to say, your friends sometimes they can get you into danger. But I was beaten up by police, my police amahlati then, we called them my police amahlati then, they beat me, yeah. So, but that was a lesson to say choices are important. Choose your friends wisely. Make sure that you choose people that will be there for you, that love you, that care about you all the time. That care for you, that actually inspire you, that actually motivate you to do. Whenever you tell them about your dreams, they are there. And then why do you need this book? Let me just try and summarize that one. Why do you need this book? In the book, I cover topics such as the mental factory. This is basically how to free yourself from the limiting beliefs, free yourself from self-talk. Self-talk, that little voice that keeps on telling you sometimes certain things, especially when you are all by yourself. If it's negative, it will always make you feel bad about certain things. But you have to take control of the self-talk. It's a little voice that keeps on. Like right now, you may be listening to me and thinking about somebody. There's a voice that is still saying, don't listen to this guy, or listen to this guy, whatever, I don't know. But yeah, that is self-talk. And then you've got self-image. I talk a little bit about self-image. Self-image is simply, how do you see yourself? If you see yourself as a negative person, even your physique, your movement, the moment you start moving, that will say it all. We can tell by just how you walk to say you are having a bad day. And again, if you are excited about something, the body tells us. Then this your self-image. If you work on it, you see yourself as somebody who's already been successful, somebody who's already achieved their goals. That is sort of on its own, it's sort of self-motivate you, it inspires you, it makes you to feel better. And then the limiting beliefs. There are three key ones that I always tell people, that make sure you don't find yourself feeling in that way, because the belief of feeling that way, it could be linked to any belief, and you find that you feel worthless, you feel helpless, you feel hopeless. So those are the three that are key. You don't want to lose hope. You can lose all other things, but don't lose hope. Don't ever allow anybody to tell you that you are worthless. You are unimportant, because remember, there are two things that keeps us moving, that keeps us alive and having to go on. That is contribution and growth. If you are not growing, you are dying. So you need to contribute to the world or to your family. Hence, the feeling of being depressed, it comes from feeling like you are no longer important, feeling like you are not adding any value anymore to ever, then you feel depressed because you are not saving. There's nothing that sort of inspire to wake up early in the morning, and you're not looking forward to a new day. So you just want it to end because of feeling worthless. So that's very key. But never lose hope. Hope is the last one. You need to make sure that we've got hope, no matter how difficult things are. And then feeling of overwhelmed. As parents, even in our career path, even as employees and as employers, sometimes you feel overloaded with stuff. Sometimes Hence, chapter 2, I talk about letting go. Time to sort of, think things through, make a list of the things that are worrying you. Sometimes you might find others, you are worrying about something that may happen in the future. But if you live in the now, there's no danger. You can still breathe, you can still drink water, like I do now. The natural resources. So you can still enjoy certain things. But we worry too much about what's going to happen tomorrow. And tomorrow, we all don't know what will happen tomorrow. The past is already gone, which can only learn from it. But if you live in the present is better because it's guaranteed. This is the moment that I have right now. If I don't enjoy this moment and then I keep on saying, let me see what will happen tomorrow. What if I don't even see tomorrow? But I was worried about tomorrow, you understand? So it's actually important that we sort of understand how we feel about certain things, because that comes from emotional intelligence. That is another subject that I teach. By the way, all these things, I cover them on my workshop. I cover them on my youth masterclass, so that in case you are interested to interact with me about all the things that I just covered here, it's these ones and a lot more, because I've done a lot of research about career, about skills development, technology, digital skills. Those things are we need to start teaching our children those things. I think I made time. I was fortunate that I managed to learn the stuff, and then now I'm feeling ready. I can start teaching our youth so that they are prepared, for the reality of the world. The future is technology. I get worried if I see my daughter, if she's unable to operate a laptop. That worries me, because if they can operate a cell phone, they can operate a laptop. So we just have to show them how and then what to do. So somehow we have to meet the schools halfway, because I get parents sometimes getting upset with, I'm paying a lot of school fees, but these guys are not teaching our children or whatever they're supposed to do. They keep on giving them the same thing that they were teaching us. But that is a reality. So we need to start looking at that going forward. Yeah. And then self-control and self-discipline, big ones. If you cannot discipline yourself, if you cannot control yourself on other situations, if you are raising children and you keep on losing yourself, you're already misleading them, because the moment, like as a father, and then I start arguing with my wife in front of the children, I start doing whatever the things that we sometimes see, these bad things, or maybe I decide, maybe I just become violent and then start shouting, and maybe start being abusive. So all those things, the children are looking at those things and they are learning. Remember, if it's done by the parents, most of them, they assume it's right. But we need to, hence I prefer that as parents, we need to have our parental support, where we support each other around all these type of issues, career, family. We got all these type of challenges. But if we meet somewhere and then we start talking about these things become better. And the last one is action plan. We need to have an action plan. We need to have a daily routine. You need to know exactly what you're gonna do from the moment you wake up. How are you gonna increase your skills? How are you going to increase your knowledge? How are you going to make your life to be better? How are you going to help your children with certain things? So I've got a list. I've got a lot of manuals here that I write all the things. I call them my inputs of the day. Others they call to-do list. Me, it's input. I need to do something so that I can get the output, the desired output. Yeah, that is in summary what the book is all about. These are the things that I've touched. And then maybe the last question is, how do you get the book? For those of you who want to get a copy of the book, if you are in South Africa, you can simply DM me. Maybe you can put a comment, and then you You just write the word copy, then I'll sort of DM you, and then I'll communicate with you, give you the whole information. And for those ones who are on the web, or maybe who don't mind to get the book from Amazon, the book is available on Amazon. The book is available in the form of an ebook and in the form of a paperback. It's available on Amazon. I'll leave the link below on the comment, on the description. Thanks a lot. The video is already long, but I hope you got value from the Path to Life book, what it's all about, why do you have to buy it, why do you need it. Thanks a lot, my parents. Until I talk to you some other time. See you on another video. Bye bye. Ciao.